Today we are looking at how to use Zoom with Blackboard. You've probably used Zoom to go to different meetings or to even create meetings, but have you used it inside of Blackboard? If you meet with your students in Zoom, having it integrated into your Blackboard course will actually make things a lot easier for both you and your students in terms of keeping your information all in one place. So to begin with, notice that in our navigation pane, we don't have a link for Zoom. There's no way to access it. The courses are not created with a link for Zoom. And so this is something we have to add. If I go to the plus and I go down to Tool Link, there are many different kinds of links that you can create with the tool link. But if you click on the drop-down menu, you'll find Zoom Meetings, UAS. I need to give it a name. I'm going to be simple and just call it Zoom. And if I want it to be available to everyone, I need to click Available to Users. Submit. Now I have a Zoom link right there on my Blackboard page. How will I use Zoom in Blackboard? If I click on Zoom, it takes it a minute to launch and connect with my actual Zoom account. And there it is. Okay, so if I click on all my Zoom meetings recordings, I will see all of the Zoom meetings that I have in my Zoom account. So all of the training sessions that I have lined up in my Zoom account, I will be able to see those in this window right here and access those from here. But I probably don't want to do that. I don't need to be able to access my work Zooms that are unrelated to this class within the class. So I'm not going to need that just right now. Instead, I have options, upcoming meetings. When you create meetings for this class, they will show up here. Previous meetings that you've had with this class, your personal meeting room. This is the same meeting room that you have on your actual account. If you were to open up Zoom and go to your personal meeting room, it's the same thing. And then your recordings, once you've made recordings, then they will show up here. And again, these are not all of your Zoom recordings. Now, if I click up here, it will show you my recordings that I have made for other Zoom meetings, but none of those are related to this class. So I don't have any that are related to this class, so there's nothing here. All right, let's schedule a meeting. So on my upcoming meetings page, I go to schedule a meeting. I can change the name. Right now, it's going to be just the course name. And we'll talk about some suggestions or possibilities for how you want to name your classes, whether you want to have more than one. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, we're just creating a meeting. So if I were going to create a different meeting for each week, it might look something like this. Okay. I can add a description if I want to. Here's the time. I can change the date and the time. It works just like Zoom. All the options that you would have in Zoom, such as recurring meeting, registration required, password, waiting room, all of that is accessible to you here. You can change any of those options. And if you have a tendency to forget to record, you can always record the meeting automatically so that you know that it always records. Once you've checked all the boxes that you want, you can save. Okay, again, you have the information that you would normally see in Zoom. You have your meeting invitation, your URL that you would use to join. All of these different options. You can even create polls down here. You can start the meeting and you can edit the meeting from here if you need to go back and make any changes and delete the meeting. But let's say that we are satisfied with that. So I'm going to go to course meetings. And there is my meeting. It shows one meeting. It gives a topic, the time, the meeting ID. and it's ready to go. Another thing you may notice when looking at this screen is that usually at the top of a Blackboard page, there are breadcrumbs for you to follow back to your previous screen. So you could click on this to go back to the main landing page of this course, or you can click right here and it'll bring up your navigation links that you can click on. Now let's say we've made a recording. We go to our cloud recordings, and here's the recording topic. This is the name that I gave it, the ID, the start time, file size. And here, when I click this, now students can see it. Until I click that publish button, students cannot see it. Now students will be able to see this recording. When they click on it, now they can download this recording from our previous meeting. Notice that from this screen, I cannot change the name of the recording. So for instance, if you decided to only make one class session of Zoom and just use the same session over and over and over again, which is a valid strategy, but then they would all have the same names and that could be confusing. So instead, you would have to go into your actual Zoom account and go to recordings there, and you could rename it. There'll be a little pencil next to it, and you can rename it there, and that new name will show up here in your classroom Zoom. While we're talking about recordings, let's talk about storage for a minute. So when you are storing your recordings this way, there are pros and cons. The pro here is that all of your recordings are in one place. Students can find everything in one place. The downside is that when you are storing these here, you are also storing them in the cloud on Zoom, and we have a finite amount of space in Zoom. So what I would suggest is to leave those recordings up until the class is over. Then go in and clean out your Zoom, delete all of those recordings. And then the next semester, you will record your courses again. So if these recordings are not part of a weekly meeting that you're holding, if these are recordings that you want to hold on to and reuse, this is not the best way to use these. You would want to create your video and store it on YouTube and then link it from YouTube into your Blackboard course. But if these are weekly meetings that you're having that you're not going to be reusing every year, these are just for this semester, then this is fine. You just go in at the end of the semester, delete those when you no longer need them, and you'll just remake them with your next class as part of your lectures. The other thing to discuss is whether you want to have weekly meetings so that you have a whole list of individual meetings with individual names, or whether you want to have just one course link to Zoom that you're going to use every single week. There are benefits to doing it this way. If you only have one link, no one gets confused about which one are we using today. Now, granted, over here you have your start time, which will have the date and the time. So students could look there to see, which one is being used today. So if you, in creating your Zoom, if you chose recurring meeting and you chose it to occur once every week or twice every week or however often, you're going to have an entire list with exactly the same name. So you'll have a different one for each meeting, but they'll all have the same name. And you can see where that would be confusing for students, especially if it's just the course name and they have to look at the date to figure out which one every time to make sure that they're in the right Zoom room. Even though that's something that they are perfectly capable of, we want to make this very easy for students. We don't want there to even be a possibility for them to get confused and lost when it can be so simple to navigate. So my recommendation would be either to name them individually, set them up individually instead of as a recurring, or just set up one room that's named whatever the course is named and have them meet in that same room. So when you make the recording and it ends up over here on cloud recordings, it'll have the date of the time that you met, that it was recorded. And then you can go into your Zoom to change the name of it, so it'll be even more discernibly different from the previous ones. Okay, so there's more than one right way to use Zoom. Those are a couple of different ways that I know people are using Zoom. You have to use it however it best fits your practices and your policies and your teaching style. So that's a couple of suggestions, either naming them individually and having one for each week, or having just one meeting room, meeting in that same meeting room, and then changing the name of the recording each time so that students can find that easily. If you have any questions, reach out to your instructional designer and we will do our best to help you set this up and get it going the way that's going to work best for you.